Here's a great stretch for the lower body, particularly for the hamstring. You're laying flat and extend that other leg which isn't wrapped by the flexi band. You want to be pointing your toe upwards and just pulse it a little bit, and what that'll do is create a little bit of length and stretch through your hamstring but also through your calf. A really nice stretch at the end of a session. Here's another really good example of stretching the hamstring and lower body by using the flexi band wrapped around your waist, but you point the toe downwards, so that's a really important part of this stretch. What that'll do is increase a little bit of neural activity through the calf and hamstring and really make sure you get some length. The aim is again to push down and through that flexi band to increase the range of movement through your hamstring. This is a great way to complete a session as well, with both feet engaged with the flexi band, and what it does, you can have the toes pointed down but also really push into the band as well, and what that does is create a bit of gapping through the lower back and also creates a really nice release through the hamstrings and obviously the back of the legs through the calves. You want to maintain that position and just breathe into it slightly, and you'll feel a really nice release through the lower body.
A more advanced stretch for the adductors would be the supine single adductor stretch. After placing the band around the waist, place the opposite loop around the foot. Begin to take the leg out to one side. Aim to keep the pelvis stable while stretching the inner aspects of the leg. Use the band to support the weight of the leg so the muscles and the leg can release further. Keep the hip free and remember to take the stretch to both sides. To stretch the inside thighs, loop the flexi band around the feet. By placing the soles of the feet together, gently lie down onto your back. Begin to pull the flexi band towards you and allow the knees to externally rotate outwards. You can use your elbows to increase the stretch on the adductors. Ensure that your back remains on the mat at all times. The perineals are muscles located on the outer region of the shin. You may not even know these muscles are tight. Lay down and place the flexi band around the waist and then around one foot. Aim to have the leg at 90 degrees. The ankle joint should also be at 90 degrees. Begin to turn the foot with the little toe facing upwards and take the leg across the midline. The stretch should be quite obvious in the outer regions of the shin. Assess the hips, maintain the position of the legs, and feel the tension through the outer aspects of the shin.
The setup of this stretch is really important. It's where you have the left leg, which is hooked into the flexi band. You take it across to the opposite side, and you actually want to look to the other arm. So you're going across your body, and you want to try and anchor your upper thoracic against the floor. What this does is create a great stretch through your calf, your hamstring, your glutes, your lower back. It's a really wonderful stretch, and if you've been doing a lot of work through the lower body and through your lower back, you'll find this is a really good neural stretch, as well as a really nice lengthening stretch through all your lower body. It's a real 3-in-1 exercise, and upper body included. This is a great exercise. It's important you get the setup right, where you wrap the flexi band around your foot, and same arm, same leg, and you wrap that across your shoulder, and then you'll feel the stretch on your quad. It's really important to keep length through your spine, keep the pelvis pushing into the floor, and that way you get the perfect stretch on your quad. What you'll notice here, you can sometimes increase the range by just pulsing a little bit up and down, which I'm doing there. Just a gentle movement, which again will increase the stretch and add a little bit of neural length through the quad. It's a great way to release into a really important stretch. This is a great exercise for the hamstring, where you wrap the flexi band around your foot and also around the waist. Important that you sit tall and you point your toe, just to add a little bit of neural stretch through your calf, but also through the hamstring. That length through the spine and also through pointing of the toe creates nice length through your lower body and stops any bunching in the hip, which is really important in this exercise, because you really want to isolate your hamstrings, and also you can get a little bit of calf stretch through here, a little bit of neural activity. It's a really good exercise to release. Here's a fantastic exercise and a really good stretch for your calf. Very similar position to the seated hamstring, but the variation is the toes are pointed towards you. Again, tall spine, and also that creates that neural stretch through the calf, and then you just pulse. So this is a pulsing movement where you point the toe away from you, then you bring it back to you, and you'll feel a nice stretch and a nice neural feeling through the calf. You hold this, and as you feel better, you'll feel that the muscle will release, and that'll increase your range of movement. It's a really, really good exercise, particularly if you've been doing a lot of activity using your calves. Here's another really nice variation for the quadricep. First, you've got to get your balance. As you can see, it can be quite tricky, but once you've settled and you've got your balance and you're nice and focused, you take that flexi band over your shoulder, and the aim is to try and get that heel as close to your buttock, if not touching, but without compromising really good pelvic stability and pelvic positioning. There's a tendency to let that tilt backwards, so your bottom sticks out. You really want to be pushing that hip forward, which increases the stretch on the quadricep. You can also just increase the range with a little bit of pulsing through, but it's a great stretch for the lower body.
The quadriceps are located at the front of the thigh. They play a big role when we're walking, squatting and running. To stretch them out, place the flexi band around the foot and tension the band by pulling it over the shoulder. Remember to support your head well. This stretch should not cause discomfort in the knee or the lower back. If this is the case, then ease off on the stretch and remember to use your abdominals. Feel the knee moving behind the hips to release the quad. The area of the outer hip consists of the TFL, the tensor fascial lata, and the ITB, the iliotibial band. These soft tissue structures are very popular regions to stretch. After placing the flexiband around the foot, you can tension the band by pulling it over the shoulder. Begin to pull the knee downwards by using the underneath foot on the opposite side. Feel the stretch on the outer hip and thigh region. It is important to remember not to pull tension into the knee or the lower back during this stretch. The wide adductor stretch is a great way to release tension within the inner thighs. Roll down and begin to place the feet into the band. Hold the middle of the band whilst keeping the feet on either ends of the loop. Begin to pull downwards using the arms to increase the opening and external rotation of the legs. Hold the stretch for approximately 30 seconds and repeat 2 or 3 times. The seated adductor frog stretch is great to not only stretch the adductors but also to open the hip joint and maintain mobility. Begin to place the band around one knee, then across the back and onto the opposite knee. Place the soles of the feet together and feel the support of the band on the lower spine. Press downwards with the elbows to increase the effect. The spine coming forward is a great way to open the hips.
The start of this particular stretch is really important, so you have a single leg and then you cross the leg under and through the flexiband, and that creates this figure 4 position. You have your heads resting on the floor, and what you want to try and do is flatten your spine into the floor, and what that'll do is create length through the spine but also really increase the stretch through the glute and take any strain and stress through the neck and shoulders and really focus on the glutes, which is what you want to do here. What you can see, it's quite intense, there's a bit of quivering there, but you want to hold that figure 4 position and maintain a really good stretch. Again, this is just like glute 1, but it's important you get that set up, that figure 4 position where you wrap the foot under and through the flexiband, and then you get in that nice position where the spine's neutral on the ground, your head is down, and the variation from glute 1 is what you'll eventually do is once you've released, to increase the stretch, you'll roll up through your spine and bring your head up as well. So your head doesn't initiate that movement, so there's just that nice pelvic movement through your lower spine. Hold it for a couple of seconds and then release down to the floor. A really good stretch. Here's a really good exercise for people who've been using a lot of work down through their hips and through their glutes, things like running, cycling, lifting a lot of heavy weights, and just generally using your lower body. What you'll find is that your hips can get a little bit tight through your hip flexors and through your lower back, and this is a great way to release that. From that high anchor point, you wrap it through and under a leg. You want to have that right up high in your adductor so it can't go much further, crease of your pants, and you have your both feet against the wall, pressing into it, lying on that side. So the leg that is facing up, that's the side that the opposite side you'll be lying on. So you lie on your right side and the left leg will be facing upwards. This takes time. You're going to release into it. So you can see my eyes are fluttering there. I'm having a bit of a sleep, but I'm resting into it and also releasing into it. What that'll do will gap through the hip joint, and that'll take a lot of stress through the lower back. Initially, your legs might be a little bit high. If your hips are really, really tight, your knees mightn't come together, but the aim is to make them touch over a period of time.
Here is a challenge for the front of the body from head to thighs. Start by anchoring the FlexiBand and assess the weight of the body and the security of the FlexiBand. Then begin the exercise by placing the hands behind the head and hinging from the knees. Feel the load working into the thighs and assist the movement by contracting through the abdominals. If you want a further challenge, try extending backwards over the FlexiBand. Open the chest while maintaining the strength of the legs and trunk. A creative way to stretch out the hamstrings and the adductors is to position the body close to the anchor point and use the FlexiBand to support the leg by pulling it to the side. Find a position that is comfortable to stretch into and lengthen the leg whilst keeping the hips even. Remember, this stretch is quite extreme and is not for everybody.